Hello and welcome to the introduction to the new Folkart Flower Turnabout stamp set. This is a beautiful floral turnabout stamp set. If you're familiar with Concord 9th and their genius trademark turnabout system, then you know how fun this is to create an entire background pattern. There's also several sentiments in the set. Thank you so and then much. And then there's also love. So you can do a combination of different love you so much. But what's really unique about this Folkart Flower Turnabout is it's two different stamps. You've got the outer floral border and you have the inner cluster. So you can do a border, or you can do a center, or you can do it all together to create an entire completed floral background. So here's the outer portion. If you just use that, it would give you more of a border look. And here is the center. And if you just use that, it would just give you a center cluster. Use them together and you got the whole shebang. Okay, so I got a panel of white cardstock and it's all ready to go in the all-in-one jig. I've got my stamp lined up, both the outer and the inner. I'm using that little stamp conditioner eraser to, whenever I have a new stamp and I want it to stamp really good, you got to condition it and then clean it. And the first color I'm going to ink up with is Buttercup. Okay, a lot of times I do have to stamp twice. That's why it's nice to use a MISTI. Sometimes I don't stamp twice. It just really depends on how, saturated you want your color to be or how well it stamps. Okay, so this is the first pass with Buttercup and it looks great. And then I clean my stamp and then you rotate it. Forgot to mention, in the all-in-one jig, there are numbers up in the top right corner. So I started at 1 and then I rotate at 2 so you can always remember where you're at. Here we are with sea glass ink. So we have Buttercup and sea glass. And you can really get a lot of different looks depending on your color combination. Another thing you can do is stamp all 4 rotations with one color. You don't have to use 4 different colors. You could also stamp on solid color cardstock. You could stamp like grapefruit ink on grapefruit cardstock to get a very subtle tone on tone. If you wanted just like a nice pattern, subtle background. So there's really a lot of different looks. So far we have Buttercup, Sea Glass, Grapefruit, and lastly I'm doing Sorbet. And this is a very springy vibe. I'm feeling springy. I'm feeling Easter. I'm feeling come on sunshine and warmth, come my way. Okay, so there's your finished panel. Makes an entire background on a standard A2 size card. So I wanted to show you what this looks like with the 4 different rotations. Okay, here is with one stamp, like I didn't rotate it. Here is when you rotate it twice. A little bit more detail. Here's when you rotate it 3 times. And then here is the finished 4 rotations. So you really can build up the detail. Now, just for fun, I wanted to show you how it looks if you just use the outer portion. So this is going to create more of a border look. And it leaves the center open. So it's a great way if you want to, put a big sentiment right in the center or maybe some imagery in the center and you don't want those blooms across the whole entire panel. This is another look. So that's 2 rotations with Oceanside and Sea Glass. And here we have a little, I believe this is Sprout, a nice light green. Again, I'm still feeling springy. And you could stop right there at 3. I think that looks pretty good, but I'm going to finish it off with 4, and I pulled out Parsley. Now, when I go from Sprout to Parsley, I don't even bother cleaning my stamp. You know what I mean? I feel like I can go right into Parsley, and you don't have to waste the energy. Okay, so there you have 4 rotations using just the outer Folkart Flower Turnabout. And then here's one where I stamped on eucalyptus cardstock. And I also used some white pigment ink and juniper, sea glass. So it's kind of tone on tone, gives you a muted look. Wanted to show you one last version where I only use the center. Started off strong with Poppy, and then I'm going to rotate it here. This one's going to be a little bit more vibrant. So Poppy and Honeysuckle Again, I've got the all-in-one jig. I'm using a standard A2 size panel of white cardstock. Here we have grapefruit for the third rotation. And then lastly, we're going to use sea glass. So we have poppy, honeysuckle, grapefruit, and sea glass. And when you do all four of those, you can see how it makes this kind of like circular little cluster right in the center of your panel. And then here's the 4 cards that I put together using the Folkart Flower Turnabout stamp set. Okay, so this first one, I did some of that Tulip Festival out of vellum for a little, sheer greenery. And then I did the thank you so much sentiment and a few enamel dots. Here I paired this with the Just Callin' die set. I also added a hello sentiment from the Sweet as Pie dies. I kind of coordinated my telephone colors to match the floral background. And then here we have that stamped eucalyptus background panel. I paired it with the Spring Bunny stamp set and Spring Bunny dies. This feels a little bit more earthy, slightly muted, a little bit rustic with the craft, the eucalyptus, and the twine. And then lastly, we have just that floral cluster right in the center. I paired it with a Best Wishes word die from the Everyday Expressions die set, a few sea glass enamel dots, and a sea glass card base. And that is the introduction to the new Folkart Flower Turnabout stamp set.